Well, the time is just gone 17 minutes past 9 as we continue with the second half of the broadcast this morning. And as we stay in the company of our Salam media listeners and viewers, also One Nation 88.9 FM out of Polokwane, we welcome you to the show. Now, there are still a number of issues that we will be focusing on over the next 45 minutes or so. We've got the historic resolution to downgrade the South African embassy in Israel. Now, this is courtesy of the National Freedom Party leader in Parliament, Ahmed Munzoor Shaik Emam, who will be joining us shortly. We also will be getting reaction from the South African Friends of Israel, their reaction to this Parliament's motion to downgrade the embassy in Israel. And later on in the program today, March the 8th, International Women's Day, we will be focusing on innovation and technology for gender equality. But right now, we're going across to be joined by none other than the NFP leader in Parliament, Ahmed Munzoor Shaik Emam. Ahmed Munzoor, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and shukran for having me on the air.
Yes, Jazakallah for joining us. Now, before we talk about the actual motion, firstly, we need to commend you, we need to compliment you, and I see you have been trending a lot since the news actually broke yesterday about this resolution to downgrade the South African embassy in Israel. And, it is voices like yourself that, alhamdulillah, that we have represented in Parliament to raise the Palestinian issue. So well done to that.
Jazakallah for that, Brother Inayat. This has been going on for quite a few years. And given the fact that we have a rotational system in Parliament, I needed to have awaited my turn. And remember, every 3 months, the motions that you put forward expire. So I had to continuously renew it until, of course, it became the turn of the National Freedom Party to raise motions in the House. But also remember that this was necessitated as a result of the deadlock that exists in the Middle East, despite an attempt for decades from the international community, solidarity movements, NGOs, NPOs, different governments all over, to get the Israeli government to come to the drawing table, to the negotiating table, to find a peaceful settlement. It has not happened. And so this is, long coming. And as a result of the deadlock and the failure of the Israeli government to comply with international agreements and things that were entered into, and failure to listen to the voices internationally, and also the Palestinian people, and also people in Israel, a very large percentage of people in Israel are dissatisfied with the conduct of the Israeli government. And I think last but not least, the recent stance by the right-wing movement of the Israeli government that have been put in power recently, with Netanyahu and the others, and their stance, their continuation of building new settlements, committing atrocities against the Palestinian people, which has come to an end, clearly indicates that they have absolutely no intention of a peaceful solution in Palestine. The fact is, and we cannot run away from this, right? This land belongs to the Palestinian people. If there's anyone that has rights, then it's the Palestinian people. And despite that, Palestinians were still willing to say, let's sit down, let's negotiate, let's find a peaceful settlement, which is what many of us have been asking for all over the world. But Israel believes they are alone to themselves, and particularly because of the support that they get from West. You see what's happening in Russia and Ukraine. What led to the Russia-Ukraine war was the influence of the West continuously putting the Russian embassy, the Russian as a whole at risk, particularly on the eastern side. And let us not forget what happened to the collapse of the Soviet Union. And regarding Russia as a threat, it's exactly what they've done. But again, motivated by the West, particularly the United States of America. And that's exactly what is happening in the Middle East as well. So it's for that reason we felt we must go ahead and put pressure on them, because it's the pressure in South Africa with international sanctions that brought us to the negotiating table, a solution, a peaceful solution, and that's why we are liberated today.
Yes, and also, looking at your party now, you've got 2 seats in a parliament, but for a policy, and we know that this resolution at this point in time is a draft resolution. But for a long time, we've seen the ANC take certain policy decisions as far as Palestine is concerned. And for a long time, people have saying that you've got the policy, you need to action the policy. And I'm sure that this draft resolution gives impetus to the government that you need to take this matter seriously and you need to do something about it. I think Ahmed Munzoor Shaik Emam has frozen. I know he mentioned to me as we linked up that he has got load shedding, so we're going to try and get hold of him on once again. But just looking at this resolution and looking at the press statement that was released, and the NFP is thankful to other political parties that supported the resolution. This includes the ANC, the UDM, the Economic Freedom Fighters, the African Independent Congress, the PAC, and Al Jamaa. So this is an NFP initiative, but it has been supported by a number of political parties. And what this message is also saying is, or what the press statement is saying, by passing this resolution, we are sending a powerful message to the world that South Africa is a beacon of hope and a shining example of what is possible when we come together in pursuit of a more just and equitable world. And this is quite an interesting development that is taking place, and Palestine needs to be kept alive. The struggle of the Palestinian people needs to be kept alive, and we will try and get hold of Ahmed Munzoor Shaik Emam very, very shortly. He is online, unfortunately, because of load shedding. He has had connectivity issues, but I believe he is online now. And Ahmed Munzoor, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and once again.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yes, indeed, it's load shedding, and I think there's a problem with the network. Yeah.
Yes, I'm not too sure how much you heard of the last issue that I had raised, and I mentioned that your party, the NFP, only 2 seats in Parliament, but to be able to be at the forefront of a draft resolution at this point in time. And also the second issue I raised is Palestine has been on a number of policy decisions that the ANC have made over a period of time. And this draft resolution would give impotence to the ANC and to the government to take the question of Palestine more seriously and to do something about it, and something concrete so it makes maximum impact.
Yes, indeed. First of all, it was a draft. It's now been approved by the House with 208 to 94. So yes, indeed, it's a matter of implementation now. Yes, indeed, I must agree with you again that it has also been a resolution of the ANC since 2017, and the ANC have actually failed to implement that. Yes, we are 2 members in the party, but I must also raise the point that my former leader, and if you are aware that she died of a massive stroke about a year ago, and she was very vocal about the issue of the plight of the Palestinian people, Zanele Kamogwa Zamsibi. And she's raised that time and time again. Let us not forget the likes of former President Nelson Mandela, when he said that, we can't be free until the people of Palestine are free. Let's not forget what Emirates Bishop Desmond Tutu said. And when he said that if you sit back, in a nutshell, in ABC language, if you sit back and do nothing, then you are as good as the oppressors, So taking all that into consideration, the ANC ought to have implemented this resolution of this. But alhamdulillah, we are very pleased and satisfied that the ANC have given their full support to this motion yesterday. The ANC has supported it together with the NFP. The African Independent Congress, the AIC, supported it. The UDM supported it. The EFF supported it as well. The Pan-African Congress supported it, and Al-Jamaat supported it. The only parties that opposed it, of course, were a bloc in any event, which is the DA, the IFP, Freedom Front, and of course the ACDP, who were attempting to make this divide us based on the colonialist mentality of dividing people based on religious beliefs. And this has got nothing to do with religion. This is to do with human rights. So, yes, so we've had overwhelming support from these other political parties yesterday. We are very, very grateful to them. It's the right thing to do, considering the plight of the Palestinian people. And brother Inayat, who better than South Africans who know and understand what apartheid is, what violation of human rights is, how you are dehumanized. We've been through it all. So there's no better country in the world that should be doing this. I think it's the first anywhere in the world that a government has taken this decision. And I think we must commend all of them that have supported it. And hope that many others, Brother Inayat, will learn from this and come and support us and stand together with us to ensure that we protect the human rights and the dignity of the Palestinian people and anybody, anywhere in the world, whose human rights are being violated.
Yes. Now that the draft resolution has been passed, what is the next step, Ahmed Munzoor?
Paul, remember, this says that we need to break ties with Israel, the South African embassy. You know that the ANC had recalled, the government had recalled their ambassador. But now it means that the only ties that we will have from a diplomatic point of view will be liaison office. And that, again, we were considerate as far as that is concerned. If you look at my colleagues from the EFF, and I can understand their sentiment, and they are correct, that, you know, just playing lip service is not going to work with Israel because they've breached and broken every agreement that was entered into. As such, what would happen now is that we have to implement this to make sure that other than a liaison office, no further diplomatic relationships are kept and maintained with Israel. But as the first step, after that, I think we need to look at other avenues that we need to explore, other sanctions, trade links. You know, just on the issue of trade, I see some raising concerns about the economic impact and the trade. The African continent is one of the richest continents in the world. You have everything that you need, even to be self-sufficient, but you're not in control of anything. So it simply means we brought up ourselves upon to where we are today. And as such, you are in the mercy of people like Israel and the West as well. So now it means you must succumb to their pressures. You must bow down to them, kneel down to them, because to some extent you created the dependence, which you really need not to do. So I don't think that's a good enough reason, because if that was the case, they were in this particular country. Many, many people have been pushing for international sanctions to put pressure on the South African apartheid government to come to the negotiating table, and it's worked for us. And let us also not forget, it was Israel that was one of them that colluded with the apartheid regime in South Africa and attempted to break all those sanctions. And so that is why I feel some of them feel it's time for them to pay back, because birds of a flock further flock together. That's basically what it is all about.
Well, we're going to have to leave it at that. But I know in your press statement, you've thanked all South Africans who have supported this resolution and demonstrated the commitment to human rights and justice. But we also want to take this opportunity of thanking you, Ahmed Munzoor Shaik Emam, for this bold position that you have taken as the NFP. And as I mentioned to you right at the introduction, a voice for many of us that are passionate about the Palestinian cause in a parliament, and where laws are made and where laws are passed. So for that, we say Jazakallah to you, and we do appreciate it.
Jazakallah, I appreciate it, and I call on all our people to work together, to mobilize, to
extend the support and increase it to ensure that the people of Palestine eventually are free and have back what is rightfully theirs. Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah for that. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. That was Member of Parliament Ahmed Munzoor Shaik Emam, the National Freedom Party, South African Parliament, passing the historic resolution to downgrade the embassy in Israel. And now, when we come back after the break, we are going to get reaction from the South African friends of Israel. And they have got a religious argument behind this move. So this is going to be quite interesting as we get back after the break.